Vanderbilt finally won a series. The SEC slate's got 4 weeks left. Where's your team looking
You're
like?
talking ball with the SEC squad. From Alabama to Tennessee, from Georgia to Oklahoma, from Auburn to Texas, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming SEC weekend. It's the SEC squad, and we have a seat for you. Hurt feelings and thin skin are prohibited. Squad up, you're part of the SEC squad.
Welcome into it, SEC Baseball Squad. Man, we are flying through the baseball slate. We got 4 weekends left, and you got a pretty good picture of kind of where your team is in the pecking order. We'll go over that here in a little bit. Look back at last week's matchups, look ahead to this week's matchups, all that and more here on the SEC Baseball Squad. I'm your host, Eric Kane. Here tonight, host of Locked On Balls, we got Chris Marler, host of Locked On Gamecocks, Corey Burton, Locked On Vandy, and Jimmy Stein, Locked On Bama. Who wants to? I guess we'll go with Corey. Corey, you were excited about Vanderbilt winning a series. You want to go first? Tell us how Vanderbilt took down Kentucky this past weekend.
Well, it would have been a sweep had it not been for that one last pitch in Game 1 where they gave up a grand slam in walk-off fashion. So that wasn't a deal.
That sucks. That if it's ever happened to you, that sucks.
Kid had never hit a home run either. I don't think the kid had ever hit a home run.
Exactly. That was even more painful. It's like And then Saturday was rain delayed, but they were able to hang on. And then Sunday, of course, kid that played in his 7th game was able to hit 3 home runs, and they were just able to barrage Kentucky, and it was going to be it was good. Good showing for Vandy, and just what they needed. The pitching wasn't incredible by any stretch, but at this point, you need to get to 15 wins and just getting the job done. However, by whatever means, that's come limping into the playoffs. Just keep that streak alive.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy and I were talking before we went on air, and we'll talk about more of this in segment number 2. I mean, really, in this league, in most years, 13 you're sitting pretty. 14's a lock. 15 you're 100% in there. Tennessee hosted last year with 16 wins, so you kind of get that lucky 13. And even if you get 13, win a game in Hoover or whatever, you should be pretty good. Of course, Vanderbilt's not far off from that. Marler, Gamecocks fell victim of the sweep to Mississippi State. LSU also fell victim to the sweep of Texas A&M. What's going on with the Gamecocks? And obviously, it's been start with the Gamecocks. What happened this past weekend? It's been a rough year for both those programs, obviously.
Year? Dude, I cover 2 teams closest, and I've had football season wasn't great, brother. And
LSU just won a national championship, so let's pump the brakes just a smidge, right?
But with football and baseball and basketball and baseball, it has not been a fun year. If I didn't look so great, just physically, I would probably be very upset. But luckily, I have my looks to hang my hat on. No, I like with South Carolina. It's one of those things where it's like I hate moral victories, but I think you have to look at the way this season's gone. You say you've won more games than I think you're on pace to win more games than you did a year ago because it was so bad when you went 6-24. Like you were never expected to beat Mississippi State. Now they came in limping after the sweep they had to Tennessee the week before, but that's a really good team that was in the top 5 less than 2 or 3 weeks ago. It seemed like so. I think you look at that and say you were competitive in 2 of those 3 games. That feels like a positive. You took them to the 10th inning on Sunday, and like as much as I hate it, you have to look at this program right now with like. Through that lens of saying, well, like they're doing better than we thought they would be. Now LSU has been crazy.
Let me slide in here real quick. Let's hold on LSU because Jay Johnson just went off in the postgame press conference. I want to get your thoughts on that here in a moment. Jimmy, Alabama again, one of the hottest teams in the country, dropped their last 2 weekend series, and of course fell this past weekend 2-1 to Georgia, which Georgia is the real deal. No, excuse me, that was Arkansas. Alabama fell to Texas, which is also the real deal. Going into Tennessee this weekend, it's a big series for both programs, but what went wrong for Alabama against the Longhorns?
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, Texas is just super elite, and Alabama is a 500 team in the league, which makes Alabama very good. But Texas is an elite team. Their pitching's unbelievable. Now Alabama has struggled with the bats. At times it was really bad, sort of almost hit a rock bottom this weekend. The number of strikeouts was just stunning. Credit Texas for a lot of that, but gosh, when Alabama slumps, it's team wide in terms of getting runs across the plate. But just when you're counting Alabama out, they win Sunday's game behind a stellar pitching performance from freshman Miles Upchurch. He's actually got the lowest ERA of the three starters. He was fantastic. Austin Crowther out of the bullpen, also fantastic. Great. It's so Alabama baseball 2026 to get conclusively beat down by an elite team and then bounce back Sunday and find a way to win and find a way to get back to 500 in the league. Alabama's gotten to 500 in a wonky manner. I mean, get swept, sweeping good teams. Auburn and Florida both ranked opponents that Alabama swept. But here they are at 500 going into a really big weekend at Tennessee. That'll be a tough matchup.
And like Alabama, Tennessee just gets beat down. I mean, Friday's game, they lost 7-4 to Ole Miss, top 25 team. And I mean, Tennessee's fringe top 25, Ole Miss top 25. I mean, they're very, I thought, like pretty similar footing in the league. And Landon Mack just didn't give you a good start. And sometimes baseball is simple. If you don't get a good start, you're going to lose, right? That was kind of the story on Friday. Saturday was an epic pitching matchup. Tegan Coons, Kate Townsend. Kate Townsend had a perfect game through 4, a no-hitter into the 6th, and then they run away by scoring in Tennessee's best pitcher, who's a freshman, but he's been phenomenal all year long. Cameron Appenzeller, kind of in that long relief role. He finally just got tagged, and he got blitzed for 6 runs. They ended up winning 8-1, and that was just such a deflating loss on Saturday when your offense had 2 hits all game long, 2 hits. But then on Sunday, you get just a marvelous pitching outing by Evan Blanco, which, again, he's been so consistent. His 4th quality start in SEC play, his 3rd straight, 4th in SEC play. And Tennessee scores 13 runs off 6 home runs. Blake Grimmer goes yard 3 times. Levi Clark, who, if you look at him on the old stat sheet, he's sitting at $198 this year. But in SEC play, it's the time of year for him and for Tennessee. He's hitting 198 on the season, probably 202 now. But he's hitting 278 in SEC play. Had 2 2-run home runs. Henry Ford had 4 hits, a 3-run home run. Tennessee just went off on Sunday, so it's okay, so you see how good this team can be. They just can't find any consistency whatsoever. Big matchup coming up this weekend with Alabama. We'll talk about that in segment number 2. Marler, back to you, man. Jay Johnson, hand up. Hey, I made mistakes putting this roster together. It won't happen again. Woo!
So I've said this the other day to somebody, and I think that people are having a hard time, LSU baseball fans are having a hard time with this, and I compared it to Alabama and Clemson football fans, because nothing screams upright Christian citizen like Dabo Swinney, much like LSU fans and the current regime they have with all their coaches. No, that part's a joke. But I think so. The thing for me is, remember, and Jimmy, you can speak to this, you go from Jalen Hurts to Tua to Mac Jones to Bryce Young, and then at some point there's going to be a drop off, right? For Clemson, you went from Taj Boyd to Deshaun Watson to Trevor Lawrence, and at some point there's going to be a drop off. DJ Uiagalelei was a 5-star quarterback and number 1 quarterback in the country, but it's only so many times you can have a generational type player replaced by another generational type player. And I think you look at last year's LSU team. I mean, you're 2 years away from having Dylan Cruz and Paul Skeens, who is a one-of-one unicorn, to pitch for you. And by God, you get Cade Anderson, a lefty that's throwing mid-90s. That's the number 3 overall pick that right now is the hottest MLB prospect in the minors. And then you have to replace him. And then what ends up happening is, sure, Casey Evans is great out of the pen, but you also bring the Cooper Moore kid from Kansas who's now out for the year. And so you get kind of screwed over there. But it's very hard to replace generational talent year after year, even with the portal. And as good of an eye for talent that Jay Johnson has, every once in a while, you're going to take a step back. And it just so happens that this year's step back coincided with also the guys that you have signed. What's more frustrating than anything with LSU is they're not a good baseball team. They don't play defense well, especially on the right side of the infield. They really turn at bats around in a negative way where they cannot seem to get ahead in counts. And then when they are ahead in counts, they don't take advantage of it. It's just bad baseball.
Yeah, hearing him go off, I think it was Friday night and then Saturday night as well. And, SEC fans, pointing and laughing and all that. I mean, I sat there and I don't pretend to be an LSU fan or anything, but I'm like, Hey, dude's taking accountability, man. It's just like, hey, this year sucks. Sorry, it's not going to happen again. I promise you that.
Yeah.
And also, did I tell you guys? I can't remember if I told you guys last week. Jay Johnson came up to me after the series in Knoxville and said, "Hey, watch everything. You guys do the best. You guys are awesome." Da, da, da. I think he meant just the Tennessee media in general, because surely he's not watching my work. But I was like, "Come again? What?"
I see you like once a week, dude. You don't say it to me ever.
Have you heard about my friend Chris Marlin? But no,
he does this segment called "In the Carlor with Marlin."
Surely you've seen that.
I know you've seen that, and I know you've given him
huge
crap
fan.
about wearing gloves.
Huge fan of Volkswagen Atlas.
All right, we got Tennessee, we got Alabama coming up this weekend. What about Vanderbilt? What about South Carolina? What about LSU? What about the rest of the SEC? Only 4 weekends left, and then we are heading to Hoover, man. We'll start counting those wins. If you're Alabama and Tennessee and Vanderbilt, I guess, starting to count those wins. How many is it going to take to get to 13, 14? Maybe you can get to host. We'll break all that down and more when we return right here on your SEC Baseball Squad. The NBA playoffs are here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on all the action. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets with your first bet. You can go check out all the NBA playoff action as well. But this is a baseball show, so I went ahead and I'm looking at the College World Series futures right now. Anybody want to guess who's the leader of the pack right now? UCLA, according to our great friends at FanDuel Sportsbook, plus 650. Georgia Tech is 2 at plus 750. Texas is the first team from the SEC at plus 950. Mississippi State is 4th best odds right now, despite they got back on track this past weekend, but they've kind of taken a hiccup. Plus 1,600. A&M's behind them. Then there's Georgia. Georgia being so low really surprises me. Again, I don't think Georgia necessarily has the pitching, but Jimmy, that offense and Corey, that offense for Georgia is one of the best in the league.
Yeah,
it is.
They're going to be dangerous in the postseason, even with the questionable arms, because they'll win a couple of postseason games, 16-14.
Mm-hmm.
So go check out the College World Series odds, college football futures, NBA action, playoff action, NHL as well. All that and more over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Check it all out today at FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, it's where you can play your game. All right, we welcome you back here to the Baseball Squad, SEC Baseball Squad. And if you're watching on YouTube, since Marler got out of here, he made our viewing just so gross. Okay, I had to get rid of that. I couldn't stand. Oh, we're back here.
There we
go.
Get
rid of this. Whatever. Okay, I don't like the vertical columns here. I don't like that. But nonetheless, we'll talk Tennessee, Alabama. It's a big matchup for both teams.
So we're good.
Corey, what's Vanderbilt got coming up this weekend?
Well, they got a really nice, easy-going series. You know, you come off the series against Kentucky, you're feeling good, and well, you welcome Texas to Nashville. And I was being very facetious when I said very easy. It's probably the most difficult series, and if they can get one in this one, we're good. But that's going to be a tough ass, tall order, because Texas is. What'd you say? 4th best odds in FanDuel to win the
4th best odds in FanDuel. They're currently 3rd in the SEC with an 11-6 record.
College World Series, yeah, it's
their arms. Their arms. They can win it all. They got the arms to win it all.
Yeah, I mean that pitching is tough as it will be to face, and of course they can hit the ball too. So, I mean they don't have a ton of holes in their game there, but for Vanderbilt they're playing a lot better. That's the good news. Will Hampton was the dude that came through on Sunday against Kentucky to help propel them to a 13-6 win to clinch that series. But they're going to have to kind of figure some things out, as always, with the bullpen, especially. That's been the biggest issue for Vanderbilt, especially the 6th, 7th, 8th innings. That stretch has been very, very tough for Vanderbilt, especially when they have to go deep into the bullpen. That's never good. So for Vanderbilt, they need a quality start out of Connor Fennell in game 1. And then we'll see what happens. Maybe you can win one 16-14 or 16-15 in extra innings or something like that. Eric, I think you know what that feels like, right?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I don't know what it means to win one of those games. Tennessee's played in a ton of extra inning games, hadn't won any of them. all you need to remember is no matter how tough this weekend feels like with Texas, if I'm not mistaken, Vanderbilt ends with Missouri and South Carolina.
Yes, they do.
Nice.
So if they can just get one, because the next two series are Texas and Alabama, and you're at Alabama. The series after that, you have midweeks, of course, against Xavier in Middle Tennessee, but you're at Alabama, you're at Missouri, so you're playing in a high school park. You got a midweek against Louisville between Alabama and Missouri series, but then it's back-to-back series of, I think both teams have combined single-digit wins. So that's a good way to end the season. But if we can get there, get a chance to win the sixth to get us into a regional, hey, I'm all for it. But you got to get at least two out of these next two series against Alabama and Texas, I think, to have a chance.
I mean, SEC baseball is SEC baseball, but the fact that you end with South Carolina and Missouri, I think Vanderbilt's going to be A-okay making a regional. Tennessee this weekend at home against Alabama. Next weekend on the road to Kentucky. Kentucky's really kind of been falling down here lately as well.
They're hustling backwards for sure.
Yeah.
They made a ton of errors, ton of on pickoffs and throwdowns and things like that. They're just kind of falling apart, it seems like.
And then to begin May, Tennessee, or I guess second weekend of May, Tennessee's at home against Texas. Ugh.
Hey.
And then on the road at Oklahoma, which Oklahoma's a pretty daggone good ball club as well. So these next two weekends, if you're Tennessee, boy, you better stack these wins. And nothing's going to be easy about Alabama. Nothing's going to be easy about playing Kentucky the way they play, manufacturing small ball runs, stuff that Vanderbilt's done for years that really gives Tennessee issues, especially when you're not just, playing guerrilla ball and scoring, 8, 10 runs a game. That stuff really hurts you. So if you're Tennessee, I mean, Alabama's certainly going to be a challenge, but you got to take advantage of a team that's really kind of on the backslide right now, losing 2 series. Worst fielding percentage in the SEC right now, probably only because of Justin LeBron, who is a superstar, but uncharacteristic with the glove this year, 15 errors. Second worst batting average in the SEC. But still, there's guys on this roster that can hurt you. And the starting pitching's been really good this year for the most part. Jimmy, you continue to bring up that freshman. Is that Upchurch?
Miles Upchurch. Yeah, Miles Upchurch.
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. So it's going to be tough. But, I mean, Tennessee's got to win the series. Like, I'm not going to say must-win series. It's pretty close, right? Because you're not going to beat Texas. You're not going to win that series. It's going to be tough to win on the road at Oklahoma, and Kentucky gives you fits. So, yeah, I'm going to call it right now. This is a must-win series for Tennessee. You've got to at least get 2, get back, pull even in SEC play at 500, and then see what happens from there. For Alabama to beat Tennessee, what does Alabama have to do?
I would say play consistently well, but that's just too much to ask. I think this team, which is just either really good or really bad day to day, I think it just comes from, that don't really have 9 bats in the lineup. I think they have more like 5 or 6 bats in the lineup. They don't have a complete bullpen, but some pieces are very good, especially at times. I think for Alabama, I wouldn't call this weekend a must-win series for them playing Tennessee on the road, but I do think winning 1 of 3, avoid a sweep, win at least 1 of the 3. Alabama does have a doable schedule as far as the SEC-wise down the stretch. Vandy at home, but they're at South Carolina, a winnable road series. Yeah. Then they'll end at home against Ole Miss. Maybe Alabama's playing to host a regional that weekend, but that won't happen unless you at least win 1 of the 3 games in Knoxville. The way Tennessee and Alabama's season has been somewhat similar-ish. I think at times Tennessee's fans have been, gosh, this team's just not very good. Then when you don't believe that they are, then they do something spectacular. That's sort of been Alabama all year long. So this will be a little bit like the Spider-Man meme, 2 teams kind of pointing at each other going, hey, which one's – because they're pretty similar ball clubs, and I'm sure it's going to be fun. But I think for Alabama, just winning 1 out of 3 would be a big deal. But then you've got to win the home series against Vanderbilt and Ole Miss.
Yeah. I would ask Corey to back me up here, but Corey saw the absolute worst version of Tennessee. Like, Tennessee could have easily swept that series. I mean, like, literally 2 hits and an out away from sweeping that series. And
yeah, I mean,
couldn't get
Vanderbilt's
it done.
bullpen, that was the best performance Vanderbilt's bullpen's had all season long.
Yeah, I mean, it was pitiful. Tennessee can't blows a series against LSU again. Then when you think that, okay, man, the season's over, you go on the road and at previously number 5 ranked. I think they were 9 when Tennessee played them, but Mississippi State on the road and one of the best environments in all college baseball. And you go in saying, can you just get 1? You get 3, you're like, oh crap, okay. And then it's like you come back here and you give games away against Ole Miss as well. So it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Big games in store. Tennessee, of course, 8-10 in the conference, tied with Kentucky. Vanderbilt's 9-9 in the conference, tied with Alabama, Arkansas. That's 9th in the conference. Alabama is
9-9.
Yeah, in that 9-9 thing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Mississippi State, Florida, and Auburn all log jammed at 10-8. That's
big
tied
series with Ole Miss, by the way. They played Georgia in Oxford, and Georgia's got that midweek against Georgia Tech at Truist Park. So that's it's going to be an important series for Georgia, and really probably more so for Ole Miss there too.
Yeah, that is a massive week for Georgia in terms of competition. Ole Miss, no doubt, they got to stack up some wins there. A&M's 12-5 second. Georgia's leading the conference 13-5, and I think Texas is third at 11-6. So should be interesting. Again, next time we talk, we'll be talking about literally just 2 more weekends left, or 3 more weekends left in SEC play. It's kind of hard to believe, and our team's kind of in that log jam. It's weird, like the heavy hitters in the league, a lot of them are kind of back in the pack. Nothing surprising about Georgia or Texas, but Auburn's kind of up there. Oklahoma's been a surprise team this year. Ole Miss, I think, would be a surprise team if they can pull it out. But nonetheless, you got the Tennessees, the Vanderbilts, the LSUs, kind of bringing the conference down a little bit. We'll see if that can change over the next couple weeks here in SEC play. Chris Marlar, he's in the Carler, I bet. Chris Marlar's out of here, but he was here for a little bit. Corey Burton, Locked On Vandy. Jimmy Stein, Locked On Bama. I'm Eric Kane, host of Locked On Vols. We appreciate you guys for being here for another week of SEC Baseball Squad.
Jay Johnson, drop us a comment.